Welcome everybody to a special edition of the Kick and Make Up Show. This is the UFC 167 prediction show. I'm your host, the American Hybrid, Nick Cunningham. With me as always, a very excited Jeremy J.D. Dorsey. And I'm very excited too, man. I feel like the last 20 years of the UFC comes down to tomorrow night. I don't know if you guys have seen, or I'm sure you guys have seen, all the Fighting for a Generation on Fox Sports 1, the UFC documentary about the last 20 years. USA Today's got a huge pull-out section that I want to go make sure and check out and buy a copy of that. You know, that's huge to have a 4-page spread in USA Today. Even ESPN. I mean, I feel like every outlet is covering tomorrow night's fight. You know, and us, Kick and Make Up.
Of course.
So I'm just really excited to go over these fights on the main card and get this special edition episode to you.
I'm crazy excited about it too. I mean, we've been talking about this one for so long, and you know, going months and months back talking about it before it was even set up. We were begging for it, and now we're gonna get it. So that's awesome. Can you talk real quick about why now that this is so huge and this one fight is so big for the UFC brand as opposed to some of the other fights that they've had?
I think it's like what we just talked about, or what I just kind of hit. It's everybody is interested in it now, to where 10 years ago, you know, you couldn't pay USA Today to cover MMA. Newsweek probably turned and laughed. I'm not covering mixed martial arts, cage fighting, you know. And now everybody wants their hand in it a little bit. You've got, you know, you go to Toys R Us and there's a quarter of an aisle that's UFC, from clothes to action figures to fake belts to, you know, toy belts. I mean, you can't get away from it now. And I think that's why it's so important. And I think that just when we go over these fights alone, these fights tomorrow night are what the fans want. And I think that's why this UFC and MMA has been so successful. I know people talk about it, that boxing, you have to wait years and years for these matchups that you want to see happen, that you know that should be happening, but because of money and politics, you never see these fights. I mean, Pacquiao and Mayweather, we're never going to see that fight.
Nope.
We're not going to see that. But if you look at this card tomorrow night, these are the fights that make sense, that everybody wants to see, and that are relevant right now. And I mean, they did a phenomenal job. I mean, I even saw some people that have been writing this week saying, like, this is one of the best cards. And they always say that cliche line, best card ever. But I'm actually on the boat with that by saying, like, this is probably one of the best cards I've seen in quite a while. And if I've said that before on the show, I meant it for that card, but I didn't know this card was coming out. Right. So this one is, when we go over it, I mean, it's phenomenal. So just, you know, like me and you were talking about earlier, Dana White last night was at the post-fight, or the post, I guess it was like the media hype post-press conference or whatever, and he was doing the after the post-fight scrum or post-conference scrum, saying, like, you know, he's still excited, he's still all in, wait till you see what is in store in the next 5 years. What does that mean?
Right.
Like, these last 20 have been awesome. So what do you got? What does he have planned? What's up his sleeve? Like, what more can you do? I mean, other than, I don't know, have a show on the moon.
Right.
Like,
that's coming.
I guess, like, UFC moon show.
UFC on Moon 1.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's just, they always top themselves. And like I said, I think that this is gonna be probably the biggest pay-per-view buy in quite a while.
And you know what too, like I think the reason why he can say that wait for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years is because the influx of talent and the amount of emphasis that's being placed on the sport now is unparalleled compared to any other sport. And the way that people are flooding into MMA, and you know, whether that's just coming to watch fights, being a fan, or people actually participating. And like, I can't tell you how many people that I hear on a daily, weekly basis say that they're training for MMA, and that's something that you would have never heard 5 years ago probably. And just to see where it's at now, and knowing that you have that influx of talent coming in, and I think that this the main event for UFC 167 is sort of transcendent because it's emphasizing that particular aspect in that you have the new against the established old, and is it going to be the old champ reigning supreme once again, or is it time for the new reign to begin? And man, I'm beyond words. And it's crazy. It's not like I get really excited about the ones that we go to and the ones that we've been able to go to. I was crazy excited about it, but I'm like just as excited about this one, and I'm not going anywhere near there. I'm just gonna have it at my house with some friends, and I'm like really, 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 really looking forward to that. So,
right.
I can't wait to break this down.
Let's do this. Let's break it down. Let's get the particulars out of the way. This is the Kick and Make Up show. www.kickandmakeup is where you can check out all of our other shows, all of our other predictions, pictures, videos, articles from Ola America that I've written. Just everything we've done with Kick and Make Up so far. And if you like what you see today, make sure to go and check out some other episodes that we've done. www.kickandmakeup.com. If you want to get a hold of us, there's a few avenues to do that. kickandmakeup@gmail is our email. So get at us there. Let us know what you want to see, what you thought of an episode, what you didn't like. We're always up for criticism too. So if you didn't like a format or something we said, definitely get us there. That's the backdoor route to hit us up is the Gmail. But if you want to make it public, go ahead and do that too. On our Facebook page, just search Kick and Make Up and do it right there for everybody to see. I love that kind of stuff when we just banter back and forth.
We got to get those polls up today.
We're getting those up today. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't done that yet, get on the Kick and Make Up. Invite yourself into the group. We'll let you in, and we're going to get those polls up today to see who you guys think are going to win these fights tomorrow night. If you also want to do Twitter, we've been doing a lot more with that lately. You're going to get into that. JD's and the shows is Kick and Make Up, at Kick and Make Up, and mine's at Hybrid MMA. So, get us there. We've been doing a lot there, and we've got a few more followers.
Yes, I just want to give them a shout out for following. At Canamed, we have Mike Larson, Thomas Pierce, Will Schick, and Kelly Carson McCowan. So big shout out to you guys. I'll be sure to tweet this over to you. Man, thank you for following. We're just doing a show, so you took the time to do a little research on us and hit that follow button, and it means a lot. So just continue to do that. If you like the show, man, retweet the stuff that we send out. That's the only way that we can make the show get bigger and better. And I also want to thank a few other people for sending us feedback on the show too. And if you give me 30 seconds, I will figure out who they are.
And that's just one thing too that I'm really seeing now with Twitter and Facebook. I've seen a lot more activity, from you guys, our fans, and I just want to say too, I really appreciate that. That's why we do this. We always say that. I enjoy the show. Obviously, JD we enjoy what we're doing, and the feedback lets us know that people are watching. I know you guys are, but when you comment back and let us know, it really is a nice thing, and that's how we're going to keep this growing. And like I said, we've got a lot of good content today, and if you like what you see, share it out, tell a friend. Let's grow it that way.
Had some nice conversations this week with MMA Mayhem Radio. They're always on there talking and real cool about responding to things that we put out. Also, Invicta Fights got a big card coming up soon with local fighter and champion Barb Honchak. So Uriah Faber, got a chance to speak with him a little bit. Also had a really cool conversation with at Filled with Grace, who is listed as MJK, but we were sort of talking about the Manoa and Gustafson fight. So had some really good feedback with him. Also Ray Rodriguez, and also the Digital Jedi. So man, thank you guys for hanging out. I know I like that, don't you?
I do too. I'm not even a big Star Wars guy, but I like the Digital Jedi.
I am.
That's cool.
But yeah, big shout out to you guys. Thank you for commenting and interacting with us. So
all right,
keep doing it.
Ready. Breaking down. So what we're gonna do today is we're gonna break down the main card. Go from the first fight all the way to the main event, and then we're just gonna touch on the prelims a little bit, and that's about it. There are some Facebook fights too, and then we'll just drop just a little bit on those. Yep. Well, let's start off with I'll say it, our main man, Tim Elliott.
Yes.
We got a chance to interview him for the Kick and Makeup interview series back in UFC 164 in Milwaukee. Yeah. So it's fun to see him now on the main card. He definitely earned his way there. Tim Elliott is kicking off the main card versus Ali Bagatinov. There we go. A flyweight fight. Elliott's coming off a win, a grind-out win over Louis Godinot, and Bagatinov is coming off a win in September. So they're both coming off wins. Flyweight fight, so it's going to be fireworks, as they say. I'm excited to see what Elliott has done since he got the call a little bit ago that he was going to be on this card. This is a huge card for him, a huge jump up in competition. Just overall, I mean, he's on the main card now, so I want to see like what kind of improvements he made.
Right, and I know that he sort of ground out that last victory that he had, and maybe some people weren't impressed by that. So I know that following him on Twitter and reading some of his tweets, he's been really working on his stand-up. So he wants to come out and put on a good show for everyone to sort of justify his position on the card tonight or tomorrow night. So I'm expecting good things out of him. It's kind of cool when you get a chance to meet these guys and talk to them and interview them, and then to see them sort of progress higher and higher in the sport. And he definitely has the talent to really be a contender in the flyweight division. And
even the flyweight division too. It's still growing. It's still fairly new. It's not very deep right now. I mean, he's already fought John Dotson before. He's fought, and if you look at it too, there's Benavidez. There's the champion Demetrius Johnson. There's Ian McCall still. So a win over Bagatinov in that division skyrockets him to 4th, 5th ranked. I don't know if he's probably, I think he's 8th or 9th now maybe. Right. Definitely another rematch with Dotson would be good. I just feel like right now is the time for these flyweights to really throw it all out there and get ranked really high. Because I mean, before like you said, everybody's training now. Your division is going to be deep within a year, deeper than it is now. So now's the time for him to get this win. But it's once both fighters are coming. I like that both fighters are coming off wins. So they're both going in there hungry. And it's just Bagatinov is one of those that's not very well known. Well, to me at least, he's fairly new to the UFC as well. So I'm curious to see what happens. I'm excited to see what a great, like I said, this card is done so well. That's exactly the fight that should kick off this fight. You put some 125 pounders in there, and you let them just go at it, and that kicks off the pay-per-view portion, gets everybody ready. What a perfect way to do it. I don't know if Tim Elliott's sponsored by Duck Dynasty yet. We're gonna find out tomorrow.
Right.
Come on, I'll ride.
Definitely had the beard.
I'll ride that train. I've seen so much Duck Dynasty fun stuff posted up with Tim Elliott. Dude, you gotta get in contact with them and get a sponsorship. That's just like a gimme. It's just like an obvious.
I think
sponsor.
that all the people, the guys who have beards should make their own team.
Yes.
just round them all up. They should get their own team, Team Duck Dynasty, and come out in all camo and.
Yes, I love it.
No walkout music. Just have duck calls.
That's just some duck calls and a mob of bearded guys rocking BK. That's not scary at all. There's nothing intimidating. Nothing intimidating about that at all. So
I'm nervous.
So I got Elliott. I got Elliott for the win.
Yep, me too. Like I said, it'd be really cool to see him progress in the division after seeing how cool of a guy he is. So
right.
Like I said, just following him on Twitter and seeing the things that he talks about, I know that he's been training really hard for it. So we'll see if that comes to fruition.
Yes. All right. Moving on to the next fight. Another interesting one too. Josh Koscheck versus Tyron Woodley. Koscheck's coming off 2 losses, one to Lawler back in February. It was a round 1 TKO. Got him up against the cage and just kind of laid into him. Huge upset fight. I mean, I don't know if it was a huge upset fight, but it was definitely on paper an upset. That was Lawler's
at that point
first. At that point, Lawler's first fight back in the UFC. Put him up against Koscheck, and he beat him, man. And then Koscheck also lost to Johnny Hendricks back in May 2012. So he hasn't fought a whole lot in the last, which I think is going to be a factor in this fight. Woodley coming off a loss as well to Jake Shields back in June, which I want to say wasn't that one of the most boring fights of the year?
Yeah, super.
Like, I think, I just remember watching that, and I'm a huge Tyron Woodley fan. I'm a huge fan of both these guys. I like watching the fight, but I just remember the Woodley-Shields fight being like a snoozer, a complete snoozer. So I do like this fight, though, because I've always said that I think Tyron Woodley is the new Josh Koscheck. So, like you said before, the changing of the guard, the old versus the new. I don't know if that's what they're wanting to do with this fight, but it seems, or this card, but it seems like a little bit. That's kind of the theme. So, I'm curious to see. I hope, God, unfortunately, has potential to be a 3-round snooze fest again.
Yeah.
But both these guys hit extremely hard. Koscheck still hits hard. Woodley hits very hard. And still, I believe, hungry to make a name for himself in the UFC. He did well to make a name in Strikeforce and still trying to pick off some of those big fighters. And so this is a great chance for him to knock off Koscheck and go from there.
Yeah, the only thing I can say is, as far as a prediction goes, I'm going to go with Koscheck, only because and I know that his time off is going to be an issue. And that's always an issue when you aren't fighting quite as regularly as you probably should. But his last 2 losses have been to, Lawler, who is obviously, moving directly up the ranks,
right.
And has really sort of, I guess almost, I won't say, maybe reinvented himself a little bit, because he's definitely a different fighter than he was, and we'll talk about that later. But and then he lost to Hendricks too. So it's not like you lost to two bums. You lost to 2 really good talents in your division. So I probably have to give him the edge.
I'm going to go with Woodley on this one.
Okay.
I think that he is more of a violent fighter right now. Koscheck is definitely somebody to be scared of. But I think just overall ring dominance, hunger, I think when they lock up, Woodley's the stronger of the two. So I don't know about wrestling skill or whatever. They both are wrestlers, but I think just overpowering body that he can toss Koscheck a little bit more than Koscheck can toss him. And I think if this fight gets in those later rounds, that's going to come into play. And like I said, he's violent, man. Like, Woodley's a violent puncher. And I haven't seen that violence from Koscheck lately. Right. So I just think that on this type of stage, Woodley does step it up and get the win. But like I said, it's one of those, they're mirror images, I feel like, of each other, old versus new. I mean, but I'm gonna give the slight advantage to Woodley. So good, we're opposites. Good. I thought we were gonna agree this whole time. No fun.
No.
All right. Good. All right, man. God, I'm ready to see this fight. Holy shnikes, I'm ready to see this. All right, Robbie Lawler versus Rory McDonald. Lawler right now is ranked number 10, and like you said right now, I will say re-establishing himself over reinventing, because the recipe's been the same. He's done the same thing. He's fighting Rory McDonald, who's ranked number 3 right now in the welterweight division. So that's just, a win over McDonald. They don't switch, but if you're 10, you're fighting number 3. And you beat number 3, do you get to be number 3 then, or do you get to be 4 or 5? How does that? I've always wondered how that works.
He'll definitely move up if he's able to get.
I feel like that's a huge jump. I feel like if you beat the 3rd place person, you get to be 3rd place then. The 3rd ranked.
You just switch and swap.
I don't know. Well, it wouldn't. It wouldn't knock down McDonald to 10.
Right.
But it would definitely, I feel like, boost Lawler up pretty high. Lawler's coming off a 2-fight win streak. Like we just said, the TKO win over Koscheck and his knockout kick win over Bobby Volker in July.
Super impressive, by the way.
Right.
Angry, aggressive, just it was one one of those fights where I don't know if I text you or called you like right after it happened, but I was just like, wow, like, you know, where has this Robbie Lawler been?
Exactly.
And, man, it was really exciting to see that, you know, he finally, you know, it seemed like he was starting to put it together, and really impressively. And just the aggression in the way that he was fighting, and you know that was been sort of a knock on him.
Yeah.
But yeah, just to see him put it together and you know go completely all out and you know get a crazy impressive win was great to see.
And this fight was made in July. I mean, well, we are in our heads. The fight was made the same night because McDonald, like he's on a 5-fight win streak. He most recently fought Jake Ellenberger in the co-main event, the most boring fight of the year. And that was on that card. So we watched Robbie Lawler knock out Bobby Volker, and then the next fight we watched the most boring Ellenberger McDonald fight, little dance around, nothing, pitter patter.
Nobody was trying to do anything, and it was so frustrating because you, like you said, you just saw the Lawler fight, and then you're like, oh man, here comes Rory McDonald, you know, and he's sort of the same type of fighter.
Yeah,
and
he is. Man.
He completely just like.
I mean, this is after watching McDonald tear apart BJ Penn before that. I mean, I'm a huge McDonald's fan. He's so good. Like I mean, not kissing ass, but he's such a good fighter. Obviously, trains under GSP, and he's like the GSP protege.
Yeah,
and
just like the way, like you said with the Penn fight, with the way like at range. He just tore him apart. Just like, I mean, literally picked him apart, head to toe, and there was nothing that Penn could do about it. And it was so impressive to see him fight like that. And then to have the Ellenberger fight, and it was just like, you would think that it was going to be a recipe for the same thing, and it was completely not that. And you just wonder what goes through fighters' heads sometimes. And you know, maybe you just get in a certain mode in a fight, and it's hard to shake that. But you just wanted to see more, so I don't think that he's going to have an opportunity to be that guy fighting Lawler this time.
There's going to be no pitter pattering, no sleeper like circle around each other. This is not going to be that fight. I've got Lawler winning this fight, and I do, man. Yeah, I've got him winning this, and I don't know if I have him winning it like. With a TKO, I mean, like that'd be the best case scenario. But I don't see this going the distance either, though.
No.
There's gonna be somebody knocking out somebody. You know, I don't know. And McDonald is better on the ground. So if it hits the ground, I know Lawler doesn't like to be there, but he's very good in top position. He knocked out Matt Lindland in the top position. The lunging knockout that just put him to sleep. So if he can reverse it and be on the ground on top, he's got a little bit of advantage. But I'm still gonna give this to Lawler. Just the win to Lawler. I don't know how. I just feel like his momentum is so high right now that I feel like this is like gonna be the storybook ending or continuation to his fight or to his career right now.
Right. I'm gonna have to disagree a little bit and go with McDonald in this one. I think McDonald is really. You know, he wants to redeem himself. And I know he didn't like the comments from everyone in the MMA world complaining about his last fight. I mean, like, did Dana even say something about it?
Probably. I can't specifically remember.
I remember Dana saying something about it and just sort of questioning what was going on. But, he's going to come out with something to prove. And, you know, he got his boy GSP fighting later. He doesn't want to come out and, you know, have a stinker of a fight. So it's hard to go against Lawler and what he's been doing recently. And personally, I want to see him win.
Yeah.
But just, you know, just trying to be objective, I'm going to go with McDonald. And it's not going to go the distance. Someone's going to get KO'd at some point. I'm pretty certain about that. And it's gonna be. It's on this card. It's hard to pick a fight of the night, but I'm gonna say that's gonna be fight of the night. Yeah. I don't know what's gonna happen, and hopefully, if we get like a third round KO, it'll probably definitely be fight of the night. But I got a feeling that's gonna be fight of the night. and it just has so much potential to be fireworks, and you just hope that these guys can sort of stand up to the blows and no one, sort of goes out, 45 seconds into the first round. And that has a high probability of
I was
happening.
gonna say that's very plausible, man, for these two.
Yeah.
This could be over in under a minute.
real quick. And not to like diss either fighter. It's just that you're when you get to this point in the game, like these are two of the hardest hitters,
right.
Most talented guys in not just the division but the sport. So yeah, it probably won't go the distance, but if it does, I'm gonna go with it being fight of the night.
Nice. All right. So after that fight, the co-main event, I thought they should have flip-flopped this with the Lawler McDonald man, but sometimes they do this. I don't know. Rashad Evans versus Chael Sonnen. I'm not too excited about this fight, honestly. Rashad's ranked number 4 right now. Chael Sonnen's ranked number 6. Evans is coming off a win over Dan Henderson, and that was like the third most boring fight of the year. Like there was a few boring fights this year.
Yes.
Like in Dan Henderson and Rashad Evans was definitely one of them in June. Chael Sonnen's coming off a submission win over Shogun in August. That was awesome to see him get that the first round, or the arm triangle.
Yeah.
Awesome to see over Shogun. Nobody saw that coming, so I was impressed with that. But I just can't get excited for this fight because I don't know I don't care what happens like after this with these guys. Like I feel like Evans and Sonnen are like the almost guys. They're like on the almost team, the just almost right there team, right there but not yet. Like
and then they're on the almost team, and then they're on the almost over the hill team too. So it's just like you don't like when you look at the Lawler McDonald fight, you seeing guys who are clearly on the upswing.
Yeah. And
these guys are probably clearly on the downswing.
Yes.
And it's definitely not as exciting, and those two fights should definitely be flip-flopped. Definitely. And I mean, I guess maybe you want to separate them a little bit just to sort of keep people watching, but they should be, as far as the excitement level on that one, for me it's probably about a 4. I enjoy Chael, just seeing him talk. I don't really enjoy seeing him fight a whole lot, but like you said, that's Shogun.
Now we're opposites on that. I'd rather see him fight than talk.
Oh my God! And that's kind of weird for me too, because a lot of times I don't like the guys who talk trash all the time. But Chael to me is super entertaining. Like he's just one of those guys that I want to see what he has to say, and that to me that's the ultimate compliment for an athlete. In just beyond their capability in the cage or during their sport, just that I want to hear you talk, and obviously the UFC knows that too, and they have him on so many different shows, and he hosts so many different shows. So I really want to see him win, just to hear what he has to say after he wins, who he wants to align himself to go against next, and he tends to call people out after fights, and they tend to make them happen. So. I kind of want to see that happen. And then, too, his win over Shogun was pretty impressive. And I didn't really see that one coming either. And, I'm not an Evans fan at all, though.
Let me tell you what happens. With this fight, and that we forgot to do the breaking news. But the breaking news fits in with this fight.
Yes.
So let me tell you what my predictions are for this fight. Okay, I got Chael Sonnen winning this fight.
Okay.
Because he'll grind out a win.
Me too.
Or I don't know. I just see him winning this. Breaking news: John Jones is out of his fight with Glover Teixeira in February. Breaking news. Now that just came out yesterday night, Thursday. What is it? The 14th yesterday.
Yep, 14th.
So this is breaking news. It's only been out for 12 hours now. He gave no reason why he's not injured. It was Dana White said last night at the post conference scrum that John Jones is out. He's not injured. He will not be fighting Glover Teixeira. That card will still go on, but they need a new main event now, and that he will potentially be fighting in March. Chael Sonnen is going to call out John Jones after he wins this fight tomorrow, and they're going to make that fight happen, because that fight was supposed to happen last year. I mean, they canceled the only UFC because that fight didn't happen, or blah blah blah. Like, whatever. Things happen, like, but the John Jones fight was supposed to happen. I feel like if Chael wins this, I don't know. He's gonna get, or they're gonna do a contender fight. I feel like they're building this up. Like, why else would this be co-main event? And then all of a sudden, the week of this fight, Jones pulls out, not with an injury. So I feel like, I don't know. They're grooming this.
And that would have been a tough matchup for him too. Like that, the Jones to share a matchup. That's a toughie. And I could see them sort of, trying to realign things. And then too, I could see them doing that. I could see them sort of trying to set things up to go that way.
Now let me just think. I think I just forgot, but let me see if I remember. When Jones fought, who did he fight when he broke his toe? Was that Sonnen? Did he beat Sonnen up quick in the first round? So they did fight. So would it be a rematch fight then maybe?
Yes.
Are they maybe going to set up a rematch? I just felt like, because it was Sonnen. He beat Sonnen for first round, and he broke his toe and all that nasty. That was the Sonnen fight. Okay, so they did fight before, so it would be a rematch then. I just felt like there was a weird timing with Jones.
Do you think it has anything to do with Gustafsson?
Yes.
And any sort of backlash with that?
Yes.
And
like the Ultimate Fighter Misha Tate.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Backlash.
Yeah, and maybe people want to see that happen too. So I'd be down. I mean, we did complain about it last week.
Or it was the Anthony Pettis, TJ Grant. All of a sudden, Grant was out with a concussion from jiu-jitsu.
Yep, and he got his shot against
Concussion from jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what happens in jiu-jitsu. You get concussions a lot.
Yep.
Not really. But anyway, there's some weird stuff brewing with the light heavyweight division right now. So I just thought something goofy. But you're right. Chael Sonnen will call out. Maybe he'll call out Gustafsson. Maybe that's what will happen. He'll call out Gustafsson. That'll be the contender fight for either the rematch with Jones or or either rematch. It'll just be either one will get the rematch.
Yep. And then if you have that happen though, you're still going to be putting the fight off to probably
March.
No.
Think so?
No.
I feel like March still. You have That's like 4 months. You need about 4 or 5 months. Maybe.
So who would Jones fight in the meantime, or would you just wait till March?
I think he would wait.
Okay.
I think he would wait. I don't know what that does to Glover Teixeira.
I was gonna say, wasn't the Gustafsson fight supposed to happen in March though too?
I don't know.
I'm almost certain it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen in March too. So
they're gonna all be on the same card.
Yep.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yep.
They're all. There's gonna be the champion main event, and then Glover versus somebody.
Yep.
That's all gonna be how it's gonna be.
Yep.
So.
Yep. It's all gonna be on the same one.
Boom. So I got Chael.
Yep.
You got Chael too for this?
Definitely.
All right, good. All right, main event time. GSP versus Johnny Hendricks. Everybody knows who GSP is. Let's just rattle off some stats for you. Hasn't lost since April of 2007 versus Matt Serra at UFC 69. So we're almost like 100 UFCs later and he hasn't lost. 11 title defenses, most in the UFC. He's tied with Matt Hughes, so a win over Hendricks will put him at first place with most title defenses. Hendricks, on the other hand, is 15-1. His only loss is to Rick Story in December 2010 at the Ultimate Fighter 12, and he lost in decision. So he didn't even lose decisively.
Right.
He lost via decision. And we know how those can go some ways sometimes. Just right off the bat, I got Hendricks. Winning this one. I'm so excited to see this fight. I love seeing GSP get tested. Not a fan of the lay and pray, grind out wins. He does well with that though, and it's all credit to him. Nobody's been able to figure that out. And I will say too that I've always given GSP the most credit in the sport for doing the outside of the box type of training. He learned how to be a gymnast. He did. I mean, he's not afraid to do ballet. He's done Olympic weightlifting. I mean,
everything.
He's done everything, and he's done everything well. So nobody is on the level of athleticism like GSP. But in this sport, all that doesn't matter when you've got lunch boxes for fists like Johnny Hendricks does, and it just blasts people. I mean, and we've seen his chin. His chin's not great. GSP's chin is not great. That's why he goes to the ground and just grinds you out and doesn't let you back up. I don't think it's gonna work this time with Hendricks. I don't think Hendricks is gonna get caught in his back the whole time.
The only reason that I don't think that, well, I'm definitely gonna go with Hendricks in this one too. Been talking about it on Twitter all week, and that GSP's reign is over. It's time. It's time. To steal Mr. Buffer's line, it's time. But I really just feel that Hendricks is good enough on the ground as well to be able to counteract some of the stuff that GSP is going to try to do. And like you said, we all know what GSP is going to try to do. It's the smart move, but I don't think that he's going to be able to outclass like Hendricks' ground game. That's the thing, because Hendricks is a world-class wrestler too, but he also has the ability to completely obliterate you with his stand-up. And I got a feeling this one's going to be ugly. Like I think usually when a lot of times when you see champs, they sort of just they don't really fade away. They just sort of boom, it's like gone all at one point in time. And I think that's kind of what's going to happen in this fight.
Yeah.
It's just going to be Hendricks all over the place and
round 2
quickly.
Hendricks round 2.
Yep.
Why I say that is because I think that round 1 he just frustrates the hell out of George. He makes him angry. He gets in his head. George is not going to be able to do what he usually does, and that's going to throw him off. And he wears that on his sleeve when he's frustrated. And then Hendricks is just going to find that little baby opening that he needs, and he's just going to put him out. Like, I don't see this going 5 rounds at all. No. And George, he wears his injuries on his sleeve very harshly, almost the worst in the sport. Like, he just bruises up and batters up quickly, and I just think that this is going to be Hendricks' night. We're going to see another changing of the guard like we did earlier with Anderson Silva. Yeah.
Sort of like what we saw with Henderson and Pettis too.
Yes,
and
I think it's
that's what time it is. That's what time it is.
I'll even say too that. What were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that's where we're at with the sport. Just like we said earlier, it's the young guns are coming out, and some of these older, and not to poop on the GSP name at all. He's a great champion, a great dude from everything that I've seen too. But it's just, I really want to see him lose. Yeah. And like I said, and I said this last week, but I will put this down right now. So we roll in the film. I might cut this out for a special little Ustream clip. But if GSP is able to beat Hendricks, I will never, ever go against GSP in a fight again. I don't care if he's 68 and he's fighting someone who's 22 at UFC 247. I don't care. But if he's able to get this win, and the only way that GSP is going to get this win is by doing his GSP thing and Hendricks being caught in the GSP thing. And the judges, once they see that start happening, they're going to start giving points for the GSP thing, which is what happens all the time. Like, they're going to start giving him points for grinding him to death. And it's just going to be... It's gonna be one of those ones where you're like, "Oh my God, I don't want to see this happen," but I could see that happen.
I know. I'm gonna keep just telling myself that that's not what we're gonna see. Right. I tell myself that every fight with GSP that's not what we're gonna see, and then we see it.
Yep.
But I hope we don't see that this time. And I've got Hendricks winning. I think that if Hendricks wins and then Lawler wins, oh my God, please can we see Lawler versus Hendricks? Like, can he get that? I don't know if there's an immediate rematch, but you've got like the 2 hardest hitters in the welterweight division, Lawler and Hendricks. Jesus, that could be like a 10-second fight and over.
But I don't think they would do that.
No, they wouldn't. Not yet.
Only, and then too, because you'd end up, maybe you put Lawler against GSP.
Yeah.
And then have him take on Hendricks.
The rematch.
Hendricks is still champ. You know what I mean? Like,
GSP and Lawler. Nobody who thought that would even be like we talking about that. Right. Jesus, man. Right. That's awesome though. That's just that's what I'm excited about, to see just the new matchups like that. And like you said, I want to see I want to see Hendricks win because I just want to see some new matchups. That's what it is. GSP is one of the best fighters that's ever graced the octagon, but I'm ready for some new faces and blood. Yeah. So there we go. We both got Hendricks. Let's see what happens. Let me just bring up some of the undercard real quick, and then we'll get out of here. On the Fox Sports 1 portion of the night, the prelims, Cowboy Cerrone, Donald Cerrone fights Evan Dunham. Awesome fight right there.
Really good.
They've been actually jawing at each other for a little while, so that one's going to be interesting. Ed Herman versus Talis Latis is another good fight on that card. The only man to beat Hendricks, Rick Story, and Rick Story was huge for a while. He was the big story for a while. Kind of went to the sidelines, but I feel like is trying to work his way back up into the contendership. He fights Brian Ebersol. So I'm always excited to watch Rick Story fight. And also another one, Eric El Goyito Perez is fighting Edwin Figueroa, and Perez is another one to watch. He was one of the biggest names in 2013. He came into 2013 with a lot of steam. Kind of fizzled a tiny bit, but it's still one of those guys that keep your eye on him for 2014 because he is going to be a name to watch. So a lot of good fights there. Also, Sergio Pettis on the Facebook. Anthony's brother makes his UFC debut. So check out the Facebook prelims before. I mean, it's like a whole afternoon of fights.
Yeah, I always get interested with the Facebook fights too, because when you get an opportunity to see the guys progress from Facebook fights to free TV fights to pay-per-view fights, sort of like what we've seen with Tim Elliott, and I can remember when he was fighting on the Facebook fights, and now to see him kicking off a pay-per-view it's just and it shows the depth of the sport. And having somebody like Sergio Pettis, I'll watch the Facebook fights, but I don't normally watch them when they happen. But that'll be one that I'm gonna watch live because I want to see if the talent and the bloodlines are gonna come through, and if is he there just because of his last name, or is he there because he has legitimate talent? So
find out tomorrow, man. Make sure you guys get to our Facebook page today and invite yourselves in so you can get on the polls. We're gonna put all these fights up, and then you can place your vote, comment on why, and then we'll see who's right come Saturday night. www.kickandmakeup is the website. Hit us up at Twitter at kickandmakeup or at Hybrid MMA. Man, that's it. We're just ready for these fights. We'll be back next week to talk about all these fights and see who was right and what happened and blah blah blue.
Break it all down, and especially after Hendricks get this win.
I know, man. Thank you guys for watching today. That was the Kick and Make Up show. Remember, don't solve it in the streets. Take it to the cage and kick and make up.